Projects. Well, hey, good hello to you guys. Good hello. Yeah, I'll stick with that. So I am working on Chappie, which is my RB swapped 180SX. The reason I'm doing that instead of working on this R34 here at the moment is because I have a show at the end of the month, which is like 2 weeks away. And that might sound a bit crazy because this car has been off the road for 2 years. But slowly piecing all the bits together, and I think I've got everything that I need pretty much to get it finished. So I've just had an order of parts come in from Japan. I've just had an order of parts coming from JDM Garage. So let me show you what I've got. So we've got a Grady oil filter. Now the downside is, this is the wrong one. I actually bought an RB one, but because I'm running a Grady sandwich plate, it's got a different thread size to what the RB would have as standard. So I actually need the X05 M120 by 1.5, which is annoying because I bought 3. But don't worry, I have other RBs. These will get used. Grady magnetic sump plug, because you want your metal bits of your engine to stick to something rather than flying around. A Tomei fuel pressure regulator and gauge, purely because the SARD gauge that I've got here, which has been kicking around for many years, and I just don't know if it works properly, to be honest, and I don't want to take that risk. So that is got to go, and this is going to go in, knowing that it's brand new and works. I also bought, for the eagle-eyed amongst you might spot, I bought this carbing panel. I just didn't like that you could see everything between there. It's obviously not essential at making it run in, but it looks a hell of a lot nicer. I also bought this brake master stopper. So this is a Cusco option. Some people are on the fence about these. I've used them on previous cars and I think they really help. You don't realize how much that firewall flexes when you stamp on the brakes, and that just stops it. And all your force goes into the brake pedal rather than being lost in the firewall. We have a Mac 3-port boost valve here, which is on a Superformer holder, which I've modified to make it fit onto an existing hole. Obviously need to wire that up to the Wiring Specialties harness on there, which we'll do today, and obviously plumb everything in for the vac lines. I've also got the injectors in. I just need to tighten up the rail. This rail was purple, if you remember. I'll probably try and put a picture up if I've got one. I didn't like that, so I used some of that. So I used some of that oven cleaner, and that takes all the anodizing off, and then I give it a little bit of a blast in the vapor blaster just to give it a sort of textured finish. Probably still needs another going over, but to be honest, I don't know how long that rail is going to stay with me. Functioning wise, absolutely fine. Aesthetically, I think we need something cooler for the bay. So today's jobs are wiring up the solenoid, plumbing up the solenoid, putting all the hoses in to run the heater pipes back here. What else? Wiring up the fans. You see the fan wiring is all sat in here. So on the Link ECU, I've installed an auxiliary harness so we can run the aux ones for those. I've also installed the map sensor bit to come out of there as well. So interesting. Put the cover on all the way around for some reason. We need to install our earthing cables on the engine as well. So lots to do. I'm going to crack to it. Okay, so this is our Mac valve. This is the wiring that came with the Wiring Harness Specialties harness. So that plugs straight into our loom. This is the wiring that comes off of here. And the main thing to remember with this is it doesn't matter which way these go, right? This is a solenoid in here, which if I put live to one side and earth to the other, it's going to open. And if I put live to the other side and earth to the other side, if I switch those two around, it's also going to open because it's just going to pull the solenoid the same. So we can literally just wire this up, because these two are the same, how we want. So I'm going to cut these down and then solder them together. Ta-da! That face you pull. Oh. It's like a... Right, solenoid is all wired up. We'll secure those wires. And all plumbed up as well. So that is in place. Those are temporary for the minute. I'll probably end up changing those. Next up. Yeah, wait. That's all right. I wasn't finished, but you carry on. Fancy sun plug. Should take me, no more than an hour. What do you reckon? Sun plug install, hour? 2. I might do a separate video on that. The same 100 people that are going to watch this one. So a few more parts have come in and I'm quite excited. We've got the 6th ordered and finally proper fitting air filter. So this is the OX05 M20 by 1.5. So like used by mainly Hondas and Mitsubishis, but it's what fits that thread. So let's go with it. We have a new filter because we had to steal it for the other car for the HKS filter. And this bit, which I'm very excited about, which is a True Focus Fabrications, made in the USA, catch can. So it's aluminium construction designed specifically for right-hand drive 180 to sit right here in this opening here, which is ideal because if you see our lines coming up, our vent lines come straight off there, so we can run straight across to here. So we'll whack these two in and get started on putting that in. So the only thing I've decided to do to this was add a bit of foam tape, one-sided stuff, just where it touches the metal, so here and the back bit here, where it fits in, just because it's going to sit on the strut tower, and we don't want to scratch it up, so, just smarts up a bit. Well, I think that looks awesome in there, nice and snug, out of the way, exactly as I wanted. I did want to have a go at making one, and I'm sure I will on another car, but for this one, time just wasn't, the factor to be able to do that. It takes a bit of working out to get everything bent properly and things to the right size. So that will do for now. I'm going to run the lines going across, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. When cranking it over to check all the oil pressure, I came across a bit of an issue, and that was that with any resistance against the cylinders, so with the plugs in, it wouldn't crank properly. So I took the plugs out, cranks over absolutely fine. So I'm thinking that's an earthing issue. What I've done is I've picked up this earthing wire, which is like a 5-point earthing wire from Wiring Specialties, and I'm going to put this up on the ramp and wire it into the block one up to the inlet, maybe one as far back as the box, and then earth it to chassis. And what I'll do is I'll actually check how that works with jump leads hooked up to the earthing on the chassis and also to the main live. Fingers crossed we should have a good, strong crank. I've been working my way through this list of stuff to do, so absolutely tons done. We've put some fuel in. I have hardwired the fuel pump in with a relay. Check fuel pressure, we've seen that. I put in some power steering fluid. Unfortunately, there was a leak down here, hence why I've got all this stuff on the floor to pick it up. Oil filter is on. There's the relay there running the fuel pump. So I'm going to put all this back end back together. Got the wheels off because I need to change the tyres. Those tyres were basically brand new apart from the inner edges, which were scuffed to death. So I think that was from the previous car. Those wheels were on a PS13, which was used for drifting. A lot of camber. I think that's what was worn through them. So new tyres should arrive tomorrow. We'll get them on. But basically the big rush has started because I am now booked in at the end of this week, so it's Monday today, and on Friday I need to take this to HP Works for mapping. So, it's time to make some quick progress. The pipe is back with Mikey, so I can put the bit on that comes from the valve here and comes up and collects to there, the idle control valve. Got the line running down to the map sensor, everything's pumped in over there. So left to do on that list is buy a new battery and fit it, mount it in the boot. Cool, definitely need that. Clean up the inlet, which I've given a bit of a clean, and put the Greddy symbol on, because if you don't know, if you've ever bought a Greddy inlet, they actually don't come with these symbols. I've had people message me being like, oh, you've got a fake inlet, just because it doesn't have the symbol there. Actually, the symbol comes separately, and I have that, hopefully, there it is. There it is, and we'll stick that on in a mo. Like, ba-da, or potentially, ba-da. I'm not sure, maybe that way. I've bled the brakes, they're all good. Couldn't get the clutch to bleed, so I need to spend a bit more time on that. They are supposed to be a bit of a nightmare on most Nissans. Because this is a brand new master cylinder, slave cylinder and line, there's nothing in there, so it takes quite a bit to bleed it. Yeah, so pressure tested coolant, plumbing the IVAC, mount battery and boot, all that nice stuff, and then we should be good to go. One of the pre-checks that definitely needs doing is pressure testing the cooling system. You usually do this by running the engine and just checking for leaks and things, and obviously as it gets hot it pressurizes, but we can't run the engine because it isn't set up yet on the ECU for anything. So what we're going to do, we're going to run a pressure tester. Nice simple way of being able to check for any coolant leaks and check the cooling system under pressure without having to heat it up. So we literally just got this, which is a bit like a expensive bike pump. Gauge on it. We'll chuck it up to a bar and then check it all over and make sure there's no water pissing out anywhere. Pressure test all good. We did have a small leak here, which, so I've moved the car back, was coming out the top hose here, so I've tightened this up, checked it, there's no cracks or anything on it. It just needed a little to tighten up. And that's all good. So what am I waiting on? I'm waiting on this pipe to come back. And while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to mount a battery in the boot because there's nowhere to put it at the minute. So real simple. I'm going to put a bit of wood underneath the carpet, 2 threaded bits of bar coming through that wood. Battery sits in the middle, bit holds it down on the top, and we could screw the I always forget the name of this thing. And we can screw the circuit breaker next to it. So that's all fitted down behind the amp. So give me 2 seconds, I'll show you what I mean.
It's intense. Yeah. There have never.
What do you think of this wheel setup? I've ditched the SSRs and I've put some TSW Hockenheims on the front. Even more 90s maybe. No, I'm just joking, I was given some new tyres put on the front SSRs. Just a word of warning if you're into your Toyo tyres. I was running previously Toyo Proxy T1Rs on this. Now Toyo make a Proxy T1R, which is this. It's got quite a cool tread pattern. You can see it sort of there. But they also make a TR1, which is this one here. So they do a T1R and a TR1, which has a different tread pattern, which is going to annoy the shit out of me. But they've arrived, I need to put them on, so on they go. But when you're ordering them at like midnight with blurry eyes, those two look the same. So anyway, we've got some more oil for when we go for mapping. After the initial setup and before the dyno runs, we're going to change oil and filter. I've got the Mikey at Bob Dove Motorsports did a great job welding on that extra bung for the idle control valve, so we'll put that in. I haven't got time to paint it and whatnot, so we'll just bung that in as it is. Function over form at this point because mapping is tomorrow. And then, once we've done that, all we've got to do is still figure out that starting issue, or still figure out that cranking issue, and somehow bleed the clutch. Right, let's crack on. Cranking issue fixed, real simple solution after testing all the wiring and whatnot, and that was a new battery. Basically, I mean, I had the battery from my 34, which you'd think would be absolutely fine for an RB, but I think because of the location of it, because of routing it to the boot, the extra draw on the wire or the extra resistance on the wire maybe just wasn't enough to do it. This is a larger cranking battery, and also it's brand new, so ideal. That solves that. I can show you. That's just the fuel pressure regulator needs setting. Ready? That will do nicely.
It might even be the guy who's like, he's a virtuoso guitarist, really low, he's way older than he is.
You know, I find it more welcoming to Sunday travellers.
Yes.
These bars. It's alright. What's going on? What is the story of the week? What's going on in the council?
I can't believe this, man.
So I was just reinstalling this wheel arch liner in here, and it just dawned upon me, I've never reinstalled an arch liner on any of my cars because they've always been too low. RX-7s, Skylines, whatever, S chassis, I've always taken them out and they sit above my garage. They're all still there, I think. But because obviously the ride height on this, we can keep the arch liners, keeps everything under the wheel well clean. Nice. clutch is bled thanks to Jay and his speed bleeder thing that we used. That worked a treat. It was actually a suction one. We've got it on the trailer, still got to strap it in, but now I've got to try and actually maneuver it into the workshop. So, enjoy my parking. There's a bit of 10-minute time lapse of me trying to fucking park this thing.
To be fair, mate, if you pack it, right, and then you start telling when I tell you to, we should just come straight in this long car.
Oh, yeah. I'll just stop there when you tell me to. We barely broke a thing. Alright, safe and sound for the night. Off to tune in tomorrow. We're off to get Macca's. Shh. Say bye.
Bye.
So as you saw there, the car's loaded up and ready for the dyno day. I won't spoil anything, we've already done the first part of it. The power runs are to come still. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to see those, because then you'll get the notifications and things when it's up. But thank you for watching, and as a reward, here are some of the early setup dyno runs and the car running, which is fantastic. Blows my mind. After 2 years of sitting in the garage and being worked on, it is ready to go. So I'm absolutely pumped, and I will see you in the next one.